The man Shen Qingyan had loved for 10 years had become a father, and she was the last to know. Standing outside the private room, she watched as the man, his face full of adoration, playfully teased the infant in his arms while giving instructions to his inner circle of friends. Please keep the news about Yuan and me having a child quiet for now. If it gets out, Shen Qingyan is sure to come back and make a scene. She had been in love with him for 10 years and confessed her feelings to him just before leaving the country. He said it so clearly back then, when you come back, we'll be together. Yet the reality turned out to be so laughable. This time, she didn't make a scene, nor did she even confront him, because she had already decided to let Jiyu Zi go for good. Brother Zi, you're throwing such a lavish full-month celebration. Aren't you worried the news will reach Shen Qingyan's ears? Jiyu Zi gazed at the baby sleeping soundly in the bassinet, his eyes holding a tenderness Shen Qingyan had never seen before. My precious one's full-month celebration. Of course it has to be as grand as possible. Don't worry, I've already had the news sealed off. She won't find out. But so what if she does find out? It's the perfect opportunity for me to have it out with her. The only reason I'm keeping it from her now is because I'm worried she'll come back and ruin the full-month celebration I've so carefully prepared. You know as well as I do that Shen Qingyan has never known her place. Where are her manners? She's nothing like a proper young lady from a good family. Standing outside the private room, Shen Qingyan listened to the conversation that came clearly through the crack in the door. A chill ran through her entire body. Does Jiyu Zi hate her? But he had clearly told her himself that he liked her. If he hadn't called her a few days ago saying he missed her, Shen Qingyan wouldn't have specifically taken leave to return to the country. She had originally wanted to give Jiyu Zi a surprise. Not only did the surprise turn into a shock, but she also ended up hearing Jiyu Zi's true feelings. No one noticed Shen Qingyan outside the door, and the conversation inside the private room continued uninterrupted. Having been relentlessly pursued by his own adopted sister for so many years, our brother Zi must have been really troubled. Good thing he's finally free from her pestering. Of course he'd want to speed things up with his life. But brother Zi, are you really going to keep your wedding with your fiancé next month under wraps? Wouldn't that be unfair to her? Jiyu Zi gave the baby in the stroller a kiss. We'll see when the time comes. I'll find the right moment to have a clear talk with Shen Qingyan. No matter what, we can't let Yuan feel wronged. Just then, Cheng Yuan came out of the lounge in the private room, holding a baby bottle. Don't worry about me on my account. Qingyan is just young and doesn't know any better yet. I'm sure once she's a bit older, she'll come to her senses on her own. Someone immediately chimed in with flattery. Our sister-in-law is so gracious and understanding. No wonder brother Zi is so devoted to you. If I had a wife like you, I'd be spoiling you rotten every single day. Exactly. Even though Shen Qingyan is your best friend, why hasn't she learned even a fraction of your grace? She's in her 20s and still acts like a spoiled brat. It's so off-putting. The private room instantly erupted in uproarious laughter. Outside the door, Shen Qingyan's heart clenched violently, almost stopping. They were right. She and Cheng Yuan had been the closest of friends for over a decade. Before Shen Qingyan went abroad, she had specifically asked her friend to keep a close eye on Jiyu Zi for her. Cheng Yuan agreed without a moment's hesitation, even thumping her chest as she vowed to keep a good watch on her friend's sweetheart. But more than a year had passed, and now their daughter was already a month old. Shen Qingyan never imagined in her wildest dreams that the cliched soap opera plot of a best friend stealing a husband would play out in her own life. As she watched the happy family of three embracing each other in the private room, a sudden, sharp clarity washed over Shen Qingyan. She jerked her hand back from the doorknob as if she'd been shocked. What good would it do to push this door open now? Now, she didn't even have the right to confront Jiyu Zi and Cheng Yuan. After all, she and Jiyu Zi had never officially been together before going abroad. Jiyu Zi only gave her a verbal promise. If you still like me when you return in 2 years, we'll be together. So whether Jiyu Zi married Cheng Yuan or had children with her was entirely their own business. Shen Qingyan took out her phone, opened WeChat, and immediately spotted Jiyu Zi's profile picture in the pinned contacts bar. Ever since Jiyu Zi took the initiative to send that "I miss you" message last week, he hasn't contacted Shen Qingyan again. No matter what messages Shen Qingyan sent him, he never replied with a single word, until today. Shen Qingyan had simply assumed he was busy with work. It's clear now that he wasn't busy with work at all, but was busy planning his own child's 1-month celebration. After rubbing her thumb over the phone screen for a long while, Shen Qingyan finally tapped on Jiu Zed's profile picture. She sent him a message. ZG, what are you up to? Why aren't you replying to my messages? The moment she sent it, a notification pinged from Jiu Zed's phone inside the private room. He picked it up and glanced at it. He merely furrowed his brow slightly, but didn't reply, instead turning off his phone directly. Cheng Yuanyuan, sitting beside him, saw the message and asked, feigning nonchalance, "A's. That's from Qingyan, isn't it? Why aren't you replying?" Jiuze kissed Cheng Yuanyuan's forehead, then took the child from her arms, his voice icy cold. "Replying to her messages is a complete waste of time. You know I've always found her annoying. If it weren't for the fact that her parents once helped my family, and if my father hadn't insisted I look after her, I wouldn't even bother putting on an act. Yuanyuan, you're the only one I care about. It's because of her that you've had to put up with so much all these years. Don't worry, once we're married, I'll make it up to you and the child. I promise." Shen Qingyan didn't listen to the rest of the conversation. She simply turned and walked out of the hotel. The sunlight fell upon her, yet her expression remained somewhat dazed. Suddenly, she thought she heard someone calling her name from behind. She turned her head and saw another one of Jiu Zed's friends. In his hands was a huge pink doll, clearly a gift for the baby's 1-month celebration. His eyes were filled with astonishment. "Shen Qingyan, when did you return to the country? What are you doing at this hotel? Don't tell me you..." He didn't finish his sentence, but Shen Qingyan knew exactly what he was going to ask. Shen Qingyan pressed her lips together, at a loss for words for a moment, so she chose to ignore those questions, hailed a cab, and left directly. Sitting in the taxi, watching the scenery recede, Shen Qingyan was struck by a harsh realization. The person she had loved for 10 years had never truly cared for her. Jiuze had been deceiving her all along, and even her best friend was in on the lie. She couldn't understand what she had done wrong, why everyone was treating her this way. Tears streamed down Shen Qingyan's cheeks, and even the taxi driver couldn't help but glance in the rearview mirror several times. Just then, Shen Qingyan's phone rang, the special ringtone she had set for Jiuze. "Shen Qingyan, are you back?" His voice was as steady as ever, betraying not a hint of anything unusual. Had she not already uncovered the truth, she would likely have remained in the dark, completely fooled by him. Shen Qingyan wiped the lingering tears from the corner of her eye, quickly composed herself, and replied softly, I came back when the school went on break. Why didn't you tell me ahead of time? I could have picked you up. I was afraid you were busy with work, so I didn't want to bother you." There was a brief silence from Jiuze on the other end of the line before he asked again, "A friend of mine just said they saw you at the entrance of the Jinghua Hotel. What were you doing there?" Shen Qingyan's fingers tightened unconsciously around her phone. For some reason, she wasn't ready to call him out on his lie yet, so she said, "Meeting a friend." Shen Qingyan thought to herself that if he could take the initiative to tell her the whole truth now, she would forgive his deception and be a real sister to him. But the reality still let her down. On the other end of the phone, Jiuze finally relaxed his expression upon hearing her reply. "You head home first. I'm tied up with something here and can't get away. I'll come find you as soon as I'm done." With that, the call was abruptly ended. It wasn't until evening that Jiuze hurriedly returned home. He had already changed out of the formal suit he wore to the baby's full moon celebration, but Shen Qingyan could still catch the distinct, sweet scent of milk on him. Noticing Shen Qingyan's persistent gaze, Jiuze quickly smiled and said, "Qingyan, why are you staring at me like that? It's only been a little over a year. Did you miss me that much? How long is your leave this time? When do you have to go back?" Hearing Jiuze's question, Shen Qingyan clenched her fists. She had barely returned, yet Jiuze was already wishing for her to leave quickly. Was he really that afraid she would ruin his happy family with Cheng Yuanyuan? Chapter 3. Shen Qingyan was about to speak when her gaze suddenly fell upon Jiuze's wrist. Even with his watch in the way, Shen Qingyan still caught sight of the red rose tattoo on his wrist. She had no idea when he'd gotten it. And Cheng Yuanyuan's nickname was Rose. Every one of her social media handles went by that name, too. The question she had been about to ask died on Shen Qingyan's lips once more. All her illusions vanished into thin air. shattered by that single rose. It was Guze who made the promise to her before going abroad. It was he who disregarded propriety and kissed her first. It was also he who confessed his deep feelings to her while drunk. And it was he who forbade any other guys from getting close to her. Everything Guze showed made Shen Qingyan unable to hold back her feelings any longer, but just as she was falling deeply for him, he told her it was all just her wishful thinking. Shen Qingyan looked into Guze's eyes and said earnestly, "Guze, we've grown up together. You must know how I feel about you." Guze looked completely unconcerned. "Qingyan, don't worry, I'll be waiting for you to come back." Hearing his reply, Shen Qingyan suddenly laughed. Even now, at this very moment, Guze was still lying to her. Sensing something was off with Shen Qingyan's mood, Guze's eyes darkened, and his voice unconsciously took on a note of tension. "Qingyan, what's wrong?" Shen Qingyan lowered her gaze and gave a slight shake of her head. "It's nothing, I'm just too happy, that's all." Guze finally breathed a sigh of relief. "I'm glad you're happy. Let me take you to dinner now, a welcome meal for you." Guze simply took Shen Qingyan by the hand and led her out the door. Out of habit, Shen Qingyan opened the passenger door, only to find a pack of diapers, a doll, and a woman's handbag on the seat. She recognized the handbag instantly. It was the birthday gift she had given Cheng Yuanyuan last year. Guze hurriedly explained, "A friend borrowed my car yesterday. He must have left this stuff behind. Do you mind just making do and sitting in the back today?" Shen Qingyan said nothing. She simply closed the passenger door and obediently took a seat in the back. After getting in the car, Guze carefully straightened the doll. After all, it was his daughter's favorite toy. As the car started moving, Shen Qingyan didn't try to make conversation with Guze as she usually would. She just gazed silently out the window. She couldn't understand how Guze could claim to like her while simultaneously planning to marry someone else and start a family, yet defying all expectations. Guze kept seeking her out to talk. He inquired about Shen Qingyan's life abroad like a caring older brother, asking if she was settling in well and if anyone was giving her a hard time. In the past, if Guze had shown her this kind of proactive concern, she would have been over the moon, but right now, she had no interest in hearing Guze's idle chatter. All she wanted was for him to confess the whole truth himself. Shen Qingyan responded to Guze's words in a half-hearted, distracted manner. Guze suddenly seemed to remember something. He took a box of mints from the storage compartment and handed it to Shen Qingyan in the back seat. "Qingyan, I remember you get carsick easily, and you especially like mints to help with it. I got these specifically for you." Shen Qingyan stared blankly at the mint candy in her hand. She didn't get carsick. She didn't even like mint candy to begin with, as eating mint made her sneeze uncontrollably. Guze had even specifically warned her before. "I read online that sneezing after eating mint is a sign of an allergy, so you really shouldn't have mint candies anymore. I'll help you remember to avoid them." But by now, Guze had completely forgotten about the whole thing. The one who actually gets carsick is Cheng Yuanyuan, and the one who loves mint candies is also Cheng Yuanyuan. Chapter 4, Shen Qingyan found the whole thing utterly ridiculous. So this is the stark difference between love and indifference. "No, thank you. I don't care for mint candies." Guze's brow furrowed slightly. "What's wrong with you? You used to love mint candies." Guze might have sensed something was off with Shen Qingyan's mood, but he couldn't be bothered to dwell on it, after all. In this relationship with Shen Qingyan, he was the one in control. Shen Qingyan didn't want to exchange another word with Guze, so she simply closed her eyes and pretended to be asleep. After arriving at the restaurant, Guze didn't even hand Shen Qingyan a menu. Ordering several dishes entirely on his own, the food arrived very quickly. Guze picked up a shrimp with his chopsticks and placed it in Shen Qingyan's plate. "Eat up. You must have missed home cooking so much after being abroad for so long. I ordered all your favorites today." Shen Qingyan stared at the shrimp on her plate, unable to bring herself to touch it. She was allergic to shrimp. Even the slightest contact would immediately cause a red rash to break out all over her skin. And to make matters worse, all the other dishes were spicy. She's always had a sensitive stomach, so she's never touched spicy food. In the past, when she went out to eat with Guze, he would always make a point of telling the waiter not to put any chili in the dishes. But now, over a year has passed, and everything has changed. Guze was completely oblivious to Shen Qingyin's unusual demeanor, continuing to eat as he spoke. By the way, you still haven't told me when you're planning to go back. I heard from Dad that your university advisor thinks very highly of you and wants you to stay for further studies. I think it's a great opportunity. And you should give it some serious thought. Shen Qingyin's hand, holding a clump of white rice with her chopsticks, froze abruptly. Does he really want her to stay abroad forever and never come back? Shen Qingyin's eyes stung, but she forced back the tears. In a couple of days, before she could finish, Guze's phone suddenly rang. The name flashing on the screen was wife. Guze instinctively glanced at Shen Qingyin sitting across from him, a flicker of panic flashing in his eyes. Shen Qingyin acted as if she hadn't noticed, focusing intently on the plain white rice in her bowl. He finally picked up the phone to answer, keeping his voice hushed. Shen Qingyin couldn't make out the voice on the other end of the line. She only heard Guze say, "I'll be right back." After hanging up, Guze looked at Shen Qingyin with an apologetic expression and said, "Something's come up at the office. I need to head back. Qingyin, you eat well. I'll invite a few friends over tomorrow so we can all have a proper get-together." With that, and without waiting for Shen Qingyin's reply, he stood up and left. Watching his hurried figure depart, Shen Qingyin felt as if a sword had been driven straight through her heart. The dream ended, and with it, her heart died completely. Chapter 5. After returning home alone, Shen Qingyyin sank herself into the bathtub. After her parents passed away, she was taken in by the Gu family. The Gu family's nannies looked down on Shen Qingyyin because she was adopted, and they often bullied her, both openly and in subtle ways. On one occasion, a nanny deliberately left no food for Shen Qingyyin, forcing her to sneak into the kitchen late at night to find something to eat. A nanny who was up during the night discovered her and began scolding Shen Qingyyin harshly, which happened to be witnessed by Guze, who had just returned home unexpectedly. Guze immediately grabbed that nanny by the collar. "Who gave you the nerve to treat your master like that?" That was the first time Shen Qingyyin met Guze, this older brother, 5 years her senior, who had stood up for her, under Guze's protection. No one in the Gu family dared to look down on Shen Qingyyin ever again. On the day Shen Qingyyin graduated from high school, a boy confessed his feelings to her. Guze was so furious that he beat the boy up. He pulled Shen Qingyyin into a corner and kissed her forcefully. He said he would marry her after she graduated from university. It was just an offhand remark from our youth. Yet she took it to heart as if it were a solemn vow. A self-mocking smile tugged at the corner of Shen Qingyin's lips. Just as she was about to stand up, a message from Cheng Yuanyuan came through. "You must have heard by now. In that case, we hope you can attend our wedding next month, with a child as her bargaining chip." Cheng Yuanyuan dropped the act completely. In the past, Shen Qingyyin would have called immediately to demand an explanation for such treatment. In her heart, aside from Guze, Cheng Yuanyuan was the most important person to her. But now, none of it mattered anymore. She had made up her mind to let go completely. They even have a child together. No matter how much she made a scene, in everyone else's eyes, she was the biggest joke. Shen Qingyyin did not reply to Cheng Yuanyuan's message. Instead, she sent a message to her mentor. "Professor, I've given it careful thought, and I've decided to stay at the university." The professor replied quickly, "I'm truly overjoyed that you're willing to stay. When will you be back?" Shen Qingyin's fingers paused for a moment before she quickly typed another line. "I'll go visit my foster father tomorrow, and I'll be heading back the day after." After sending it, Shen Qingyyin put down her phone. Since Guze wished for her to never come back, she would grant him that. Consider it a wedding gift from his little sister. Chapter 6. The next day, Shen Qingyyin had originally intended to go straight to the Gu family's old residence, but Guze insisted on taking her to a dinner gathering with his friends. Left with no choice, and to avoid arousing Guze's suspicion, Shen Qingyyin had no option but to head first to the address he had sent her. The moment she stepped into the private room, the previously boisterous chatter instantly fell silent. She overheard hushed whispers. "What is Shen Qingyyin doing here? Didn't young Master Gu say to use this gathering to find a way to send her back abroad? We can't let her ruin his and his fiancée's wedding." Their voices were low, but the private room was deathly quiet. Shen Qingyyin heard every word clearly. The atmosphere hung heavy for a moment before someone broke the silence. Qingyan, you're back in the country, come on, have a seat. The speaker was a childhood friend shared by Shen Qingyan and Guze. He had always been on good terms with Shen Qingyan, and they had kept in touch frequently over the past year or so, yet when it came to the matter between Guze and Cheng Yuanyuan, he still chose to side with Guze. Shen Qingyan, holding back her emotions, walked over and sat down. Not long after, Guze arrived with Cheng Yuanyuan in tow. At the sight of them, the smiles on everyone's faces brightened. And several girls immediately gathered around Cheng Yuanyuan. Shen Qingyan could clearly sense that their attitude towards her was completely different from their attitude towards Cheng Yuanyuan, but she was the one who was their friend. Cheng Yuanyuan had only met these people because of her. A surge of emotion welled up in her chest, and Shen Qingyan excused herself and went straight to the restroom, but she hadn't expected Cheng Yuanyuan to follow her out. You saw the message I sent you yesterday, right? Cheng Yuanyuan spoke with absolute certainty. Qingyan, Ace doesn't love you. You need to let him go. Didn't you once say you wanted to be my child's godmother? It shouldn't be too much to ask for a godmother to endure a little hardship to ensure her goddaughter has a happy family, should it? Shen Qingyan hadn't yet grasped the meaning behind Cheng Yuanyuan's words. Then she saw her suddenly tousle her own hair, slap her own face hard, and collapse to the floor. After doing all this, Cheng Yuanyuan looked at Shen Qingyan with a face full of grievance and began to sob. Qingyan, I know you resent me, but Ace and I are truly in love. You can hit me, but please don't destroy my family, okay? My daughter is so young, she can't grow up without a father. The moment her words hung in the air, the bathroom door was flung open with force. The one who pushed it open was none other than Guze. Seeing this, the man strode over, roughly shoving Shen Qingyan aside with significant force, before carefully helping Cheng Yuanyuan to her feet. Shen Qingyan, how dare you lay a hand on Yuanyuan? Cheng Yuanyuan shrank pitifully into Guze's arms. Ace, please don't blame Qingyan, it's all my fault. I was the one who told her we're together. That's what made her lose control. Guze's anger flared even hotter upon hearing that. Shen Qingyan, what business is it of yours if I'm with Yuanyuan? You're nobody to me. Who gave you the right to interfere? I put up with your tantrums before, but this time you've actually hurt Yuanyuan. Apologize now. Shen Qingyan stared at the two people before her in disbelief. One was the person she once loved most. The other was her once closest friend. Not only did they feel no remorse toward her, but they even had the audacity to confront her so righteously. If they truly liked each other, they could have just told her. She would have chosen to give them her blessing. But why would you all gang up to hurt her like this? Shen Qingyan looked coldly at Guze, her voice icy. I didn't hit her. But Guze didn't believe a word Shen Qingyan said. I saw it with my own eyes. How dare you still try to deny it? There's only the two of you here. Are you trying to say Yuanyuan slapped her own face? Cheng Yuanyuan tugged at Guze's sleeve and said in a feigned tone, Aze, let it go, I'm fine. Besides, I believe Qingyan didn't mean to do it, no. She absolutely must apologize to you. I've put up with this for years, and now it's time to lay all the cards on the table. Watching them play off each other, Shen Qingyan found the whole charade utterly ridiculous. The two people she had once trusted so completely had both changed. It just goes to show, the human heart is the most unfathomable thing of all. Not wanting to drag this out any longer with the two people before her, Shen Qingyan took a deep breath and spoke slowly. All right. I apologize, Funan, I'm sorry. Yet, Guze still had no intention of letting Shen Qingyan off the hook. His voice icy and merciless. Yuanyuan is my fiancée and the mother of my child. I won't let her suffer the slightest injustice. You think a flimsy sorry is enough? Get on your knees. Chapter 7. Shen Qingyan watched Guze intently, not missing a single flicker of emotion in his eyes. Yet the reality shattered her heart completely, from the look in Guze's eyes. She could tell just how serious he was when he said those words. He genuinely wanted her to kneel down, kowtow, and apologize to Cheng Yuanyuan. Shen Qingyan let out a cold laugh and uttered two words, her tone flat, in your dreams. With that, she turned and walked away without a backward glance. She didn't even return to the private room. Shen Qingyan wanted nothing more to do with Guze, or any of her former friends. A thought suddenly struck Shen Qingyan. Promises are like blank paper once written. They're void. perhaps we all once dreamed of forever, but then we forgot, joy and sorrow, meeting and parting since ancient times. Nothing is ever perfect. The person from her youth, who had always shielded her from harm and couldn't bear to see her suffer the slightest grievance, had ultimately vanished like a bubble. After leaving the club, Shen Qingyan hailed a taxi directly to the Jiyu family's ancestral home. With this departure, she might rarely return to the country in the future. On the way, Shen Qingyan received a video call from Meng Yunchuan. As soon as the video call connected, what greeted her wasn't Meng Yunchuan's handsome face, but a vast, dazzling field of golden sunflowers. "Qingyan, look, aren't these sunflowers beautiful? I planted all of these especially for you. Didn't you promise me that if the sunflowers I planted bloomed, you'd grant me one wish?" Meng Yunchuan is Shen Qingyan's junior from university. Although he is also Chinese by origin, he immigrated to New York with his parents as a child. Consequently, he was raised entirely on a Western education and has no concept of subtlety or reserve. Ever since he fell for Shen Qingyan at first sight, he has been pursuing her relentlessly. At that time, Shen Qingyan had eyes only for Jiyu Zi. Unable to give him the response he desired, she remained consistently cold and distant towards Meng Yunchuan. But Jiyu Yunchuan was not the least bit discouraged. As he put it, as long as Shen Qingyan remained unmarried, anything was possible. No matter how cold Shen Qingyan was to him, he always followed right behind her. Upon hearing Meng Yunchuan's words, Shen Qingyan was completely stunned. She never expected that an offhand remark she made had stayed on his mind all this time, just like how she had taken Jiyu Zi's casual jest to heart. At this moment, her remorse towards Meng Yunchuan reached its peak. When she met those eyes, full of anticipation in the video call, Shen Qingyan's heart instantly softened. "All right, what condition do you want me to agree to?" Meng Yunchuan began cautiously, saying, "I wish you would come back, I miss you." Shen Qingyan's eyes flickered, and she fell silent. Meng Yunchuan thought she was angry and hurriedly apologized. "I'm sorry, I spoke out of turn. I shouldn't have used that to pressure you. It's okay if you don't want to come back. Travel is so convenient these days, I can always come." And, before the other person could finish, Shen Qingyan cut in directly. "All right, I agree." Chapter 8. What? The surprise was so sudden that Meng Yunchuan was momentarily stunned. "I said I'll go back. I've already agreed to stay on at the university. As my professor asked." After a moment's thought, she added, "I've booked a flight back for tomorrow." Hearing this, the light that had been fading from Meng Yunchuan's eyes instantly reignited. He blew several enthusiastic kisses toward the camera before reluctantly ending the video call. When Shen Qingyan arrived at the Meng family's ancestral home, she noticed that red lanterns had already been hung at the entrance. A bright red double happiness character was also pasted on the main gate. The nannies were in the living room, happily holding boxes of wedding sweets. Upon seeing Shen Qingyan, they were all taken aback. "Miss Qingyan, you've returned to the country." Hearing the commotion, Mr. Jiyu immediately came downstairs. "Qingyan, you're back. Did you come back specifically for your brother and sister-in-law's wedding? You must know it's happening soon." Shen Qingyan smiled and replied, "Uncle Jiyu, I've got a few days off from school, so I made a special trip back to see you. My break isn't very long, so I'll be leaving tomorrow." Hearing she was leaving the next day, Uncle Jiyu took her hand, his face full of reluctance, and said, "So soon? Can't you ask for a few more days off? Your brother has finally agreed to get married. As his sister, you simply can't miss his wedding." Mr. Jiyu was unaware of what had transpired between them. He had always believed his adopted daughter and his son simply shared a deep sibling bond. This thought brought him a great deal of comfort. Shen Qingyan shook her head and said softly, "Never mind, I won't be joining. My schoolwork is more important. My teacher even called me yesterday, urging me to hurry back." Father Jiyu let out a light sigh. "All right then, you must take good care of yourself. If you run into any trouble out there, just give your brother a call. If you're feeling too worn out, you might as well come back home. Your brother and I will take care of you for the rest of your life." As if struck by a thought, his face lit up with joy as he began to speak. "Oh, by the way, Yinyan, you probably haven't heard yet, you're an aunt now. Your sister-in-law gave birth to a baby girl last month. The little one is the spitting image of your brother when he was a child. I wanted to call and tell you right away." But your brother said you were swamped with your studies and he didn't want to disturb you. How could Gu's father have known that Shen Ziyi had deliberately kept this news from him? Because he was afraid that if Shen Qingyan found out, she would go and cause trouble for his wife and child. Shen Qingyan lowered her gaze slightly, not letting Gu's father see the mockery in her eyes. She took a gold locket from her bag and handed it to Gu's father. She had specifically gone to a department store to buy it on her way here. Uncle Ji, this is a gift for my little niece. Also, please pass on a message to my brother for me. I wish him and his new wife a happy marriage and their family of 3 all the happiness in the world. Chapter 9. Old Master Ji took the golden locket, beaming from ear to ear. Excellent, excellent. Our Qingqing is so thoughtful. Qingqing, dear, if you meet a suitable young man, you can always bring him home for your brother and me to meet. I don't have to worry about your brother anymore. But your situation is still up in the air. Before I die, I simply must see you married and starting a family. Otherwise, I won't be able to face your parents in the afterlife. For some reason, the image of Meng Yunchuan flashed through Shen Qingyan's mind. Shen Qingyan's earlobes grew slightly warm. Without a change in expression, she gently clasped old Mr. Gu's hand in return and said, Uncle Ji, let's not talk like that on such a happy occasion. If I ever get a boyfriend for real, I promise I'll bring him home to meet you. Old Mr. Ji quickly patted his own mouth. I misspoke. My mind isn't what it used to be. Your brother mentioned your sister-in-law is your best friend. No wonder I took a liking to her the moment I saw her. She's such a lovely girl. When your brother was sick last time, she stayed by his bedside day and night, taking care of him. And last month, when she was giving birth, your brother was so anxious outside the operating room he was nearly in tears. Seeing how deeply in love they are just makes my heart swell with happiness. As Mr. Ji went on and on, recounting every sweet detail of Jiu Zi and Cheng Yuanyuan's loving relationship, even though Shen Qingyan had resolved to let go, her heart still ached as if pierced by needles. But her distress had nothing to do with Jiu Zi. She simply felt she had sold herself short. Beyond that, there was no other emotion left. Shen Qingyan had loved Jiu Zi for 10 years. Yet it took her only 2 days to let him go completely. She couldn't decide whether to feel happy or sad. Just as she was about to make an excuse to leave, Jiu Zi and Cheng Yuanyuan suddenly returned. Cheng Yuanyuan was still holding the child, and the slap mark on her face was almost invisible now. Jiu Zi cast a cold glance at Shen Qingyan, gave a brief nod to his father, and then led Cheng Yuanyuan upstairs. Mr. Jiu shouted up the stairs in exasperation. Jiu Zi, your sister has finally come home for a visit, and this is the attitude you give her. And after Qingqing went out of her way to buy a gold locket for your daughter, too. After his outburst, he frowned in puzzlement. What's gotten into your brother today? He used to be the closest to you. Listening to Mr. Gu's words, Shen Qingyan was reminded of the past. Back then, Shen Qingyan hadn't yet introduced Cheng Yuanyuan to Jiu Zi, and in Jiu Zi's eyes, there was only Shen Qingyan. Shen Qingyan was still in high school, while Jiu Zi was already in university. Knowing that Shen Qingyan finished school late, Jiu Zi would always see her safely home before returning to his own campus. Because of this, he got caught by the dorm supervisor several times while climbing over the wall to get into the dormitory. On one occasion, he almost got a public reprimand from the entire school, although the Jiu family was well off. Jiu Zi's father managed his allowance with an iron fist to prevent him from developing wasteful spending habits. Yet, to buy Shen Qingyan a diamond necklace, he stubbornly survived on instant noodles for half a year. After Shen Qingyan started university, Jiu Zi used the first pot of gold he ever earned to buy her a small apartment of her own, right next to her campus. He said to Shen Qingyan at the time, Qingyan, in my heart, you mean more to me than anything in the world. Shen Qingyan never doubted the sincerity in Jiu Zi's words back then, but she was also acutely aware that the Jiu Zi of today was no longer the same passionate young man he once was. In the end, they went their separate ways. Chapter 10. Seeing that Shen Qingyan seemed somewhat upset, Mr. Jiu suggested taking her to see the child. Unable to refuse Mr. Gu's enthusiasm and worried he might notice something, Shen Qingyan had no choice but to steel herself and follow along. Entering the nursery, Jiu Zi and Cheng Yuanyuan were playing with the baby, making it laugh. Upon seeing Shen Qingyan arrive, Guzi immediately wiped the smile off his face. Cheng Yuanyuan, however, acted as if nothing had happened, warmly greeting Gu's father and Shen Qingyan. Gu's father pulled Shen Qingyan over to the stroller and said cheerfully, "Qingqing, come quick and look at your brother's baby. Isn't he just adorable?" As he spoke, he pulled a golden locket from his pocket and placed it in the baby's hand. "Sweetheart, this is a gift from your auntie. Do you like it?" But then, in the very next moment, Gu snatched the locket back from the child's hand and flung it directly at Shen Qingyan. He looked at Shen Qingyan with deep suspicion, as if she were offering not a golden locket, but a dose of lethal poison. Guzi's instinctive reaction once again shattered Shen Qingyan's heart into a million pieces. Shen Qingyan gave a self-deprecating smile. "It seems my brother doesn't care for my gift." Furious, old mister, Gu raised his cane and struck Guzi with it. "You little bastard, what's gotten into you today? Qingqing was just being kind, giving your daughter a gift, and this is how you treat her. Are you even her brother?" Cheng Yuanyuan quickly stepped in to smooth things over. "Dad, please calm down. Aze didn't mean it. A couple of days ago, the baby put something dirty in her mouth and ended up with an upset stomach for 2 days. Aze was just worried about her. That's why he acted that way. Qingyan, I'm really sorry about that. Please don't stay mad at your brother. Oh, by the way, you haven't heard the baby's name yet, have you? She's called Jiuyue." Aze picked the name himself. "I thought the name was a bit too plain, but Aze insisted that means she'll be his one and only treasure from now on. Sigh, and here I am. Not even married yet, and I'm already losing my husband to my own daughter." Hearing this, Shen Qingyan was stunned, because a long time ago, Guzi had once told her that if they ever had a daughter, her name would be Jiuyue. He said their daughter would be their one and only treasure. A sudden wave of bitter irony washed over Shen Qingyan. Fearing she wouldn't be able to stop herself from exposing Guzi's hypocrisy right in front of his father, she simply turned and walked away. Chapter 11. Shen Qingyan had intended to leave immediately, but no matter what she said, Gu's father insisted she stay for dinner. Seeing the hopeful look in the old man's eyes and the grey at his temples, she found she couldn't bring herself to refuse. Mr. Gu had always treated her as his own daughter, even better than he treated his own son, Guze. Shen Qingyan knew in her heart that she could never repay such kindness. However, the sight of the bright red double happiness characters plastered all over the room was a painful sting to her eyes. With no other choice, she could only seek solace by taking a walk in the garden outside. Every single view here is exactly as it was back then. Even the peach tree planted in the corner is the very one she and Guze planted together all those years ago. Guze once promised that when the tree bore fruit, he would personally pick the biggest, sweetest peach and bring it to her. Now, all the peaches on the tree have ripened, fallen to the ground, and rotted away just like the love that once existed between them. Yet, a rotten peach can decompose and nourish the soil, but the tattered bond between them had already scattered to the wind, gone without a trace. Shen Qingyan was lost in thought when Guze quietly appeared by her side. Following her gaze, Guze also saw the peach tree they had planted together long ago. After a long silence, Guze was the first to speak. "Qingyan, you seem so unhappy since your sudden return. What's really going on with you?" Guze's question struck Shen Qingyan as utterly absurd. How could he possibly ask her what was wrong as if nothing had happened at all? He knows perfectly well, doesn't he? Shen Qingyan turned to look at Guze, her face a mask of scornful laughter. "Brother Guze, have you forgotten the promise you made to me?" Hearing this, Guze also turned to meet Shen Qingyan's gaze. His eyes were still as deep and captivating as ever, drawing one in with a single glance. Once, Shen Qingyan would often lose herself in those eyes that seemed so affectionate, yet were in truth devoid of feeling. But now, meeting Guze's gaze, Shen Qingyan felt nothing but a profound calm within her heart. Sensing the cold indifference in Shen Qingyan's eyes, a nameless fury began to rise within Guze. His voice turned cold abruptly. "That was just a childish joke from our youth. I can't believe you took it seriously, Shen Qingyan. In the eyes of others, we are merely siblings. It's not appropriate for us to be together." Shen Qingyan averted her gaze, her voice dropping to a low murmur. "Oh, really? So we're not a good match. But you and Cheng Yuanyuan are. Why did you have to hide your relationship from me? Did you think it was fun to mess with me? Guze also averted his gaze. Yuanyuan is gentle, kind, considerate, and sensible. She would indeed make a fine wife and mother. Besides, she's your best friend. You shouldn't turn around and hurt her just because I rejected you. Shen Qingyan, since you know everything now, let me make it official today. I don't like you. Stop bothering me. From now on, I'll just be your brother. And you'll just be my sister. As long as you don't make things difficult for Yuanyuan, I'll still spoil you like before. Chapter 12. Brother. Shen Qingyan let out a soft, amused laugh. The first time she called Guze brother, he had told her angrily, Shen Qingyan, I am not your brother. Don't call me that. In my heart, you will only ever be my wife. But now, he told her with utmost seriousness, Shen Qingyan, I am your brother. I only see you as a sister. Shen Qingyan closed her eyes for a moment and said nothing more. Suddenly, Guze shoved a card into Shen Qingyan's hand. Shen Qingyan, what's done is done, until you've truly sorted out your thoughts. You'd better just stay put abroad for now. A cold gust of wind hit her face, and Shen Qingyan felt a chill run through her entire body, but she still tightened her grip on the card in her hand and said to Ji Yuche with a smile, Thank you, brother. Don't worry, brother. I won't show my face around you again and disturb your happy life with your wife. With that, Shen Qingyan turned and walked away. She hadn't taken more than a few steps before Guze called out to her once more, Shen Qingyan. You are my sister, after all, so I'll allow you to stay for my wedding before you leave. Shen Qingyan didn't even turn her head, merely letting out a scornful laugh. Sorry, I don't have the time. I'll offer my congratulations in advance, wishing my brother and his new wife a happy marriage and a blissful life for your family of 3. From that moment on, her steps would never again falter because of Guze's words. After dinner, Shen Qingyan refused to stay a second longer. She grabbed her bag and left the Gu family's ancestral home without delay. Before starting the car, she took one last look at the house. She had lived here with Guze for over a decade. Once, every corner of this place was filled with the sound of her and Guze's laughter. Now, all that remained was the sound of him and Cheng Yuanyuan soothing their child. This was never meant to be her permanent home. It was time for her to leave. Shen Qingyan's flight was in the afternoon, but she got up early anyway to pack up all her belongings. The apartment she was living in was under Guze's name, with everything laid bare. She couldn't possibly stay here and keep humiliating herself. Besides, once she left this time, she might not be coming back for a very long while, so she decided to get rid of everything that needed to go. She didn't want to spend another single second in this city. As Shen Qingyan looked at the only photo she had with her parents, it suddenly struck her that the jade pendant her mother had left her was still with Guze. Her mother had told her that the pendant could keep its wearer safe. For a while, Guze had been obsessed with car racing. Worried that something might happen to him, Shen Qingyan gave him the pendant. Since she and Guze were no longer connected, it was only natural she'd want that jade pendant back. After all, it was a keepsake left by her parents, something of great importance to her. But time was running out, leaving her no chance to see Guze in person, so a phone call would have to do for now. She'd ask him to mail the pendant directly to New York when the time came. The phone rang for a long time before it was finally answered. Before she could speak, a conversation came through from the other end of the line. Brother Ze. Aren't you afraid Shen Qingyan will truly be disappointed in you and stay abroad forever? This was immediately followed by Guze's dismissive voice. How is that even possible? You all know perfectly well how much she adores me. Chapter 13. No matter what I do, or who I marry, Shen Qingyan would never leave me. My only worry is that on the day of my wedding to Yuanyuan, she'll have the nerve to show up and cause a scene. I suppose I'll need to hire extra security for that day. At that moment, someone suddenly whispered, but Shen Qingyan didn't come back to make a scene with you this time. She's leaving today, and she even said she might never come back. There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the line, followed by Guze's scornful laugh. Can't you all see what she's doing? She knows her usual hysterics and threats won't work on me anymore, so she's changed tactics. She's trying to play hard to get. Don't worry, if I just ignore her, she'll come crawling back to me like a loyal dog. So, in Guze's eyes, Shen Qingyan really was just like a dog he could summon and dismiss at will. But this time, Guze was destined to be disappointed. Shen Qingyan let out a cold laugh. She didn't even bother asking about the jade pendant anymore and simply hung up the phone. She was afraid that if she said one more word to Guze, she would be sick. After much deliberation, she told Guze's father about the jade pendant and asked him to help her get it back from Guze. After settling all her affairs, Shen Qingyan took a taxi to the airport. As the plane soared into the sky, she found she wasn't as heartbroken as she had expected to be. Just a few days ago, she was head over heels in love with Guze. Yet now, she has completely let him go. Letting go of someone who isn't worth it is such a liberating and joyful feeling. After more than 10 hours in the air, the plane finally touched down in New York. The moment Shen Qingyan stepped out of the airport, she wished she could turn right back around. The reason was, of course, that Meng Yunchuan had actually hired someone to put up a banner outside the terminal. On the banner, a single line of text was written in large, bold letters in both Chinese and English. Congratulations to Ms. Shen Qingyan for seeing through that scumbag and soon returning to the embrace of Mr. Meng Yunchuan. Shen Qingyan felt a throbbing pulse at her temples. She hastily pulled her hat down, praying silently that Meng Yunchuan hadn't spotted her. But as luck would have it, things didn't go her way. Just as she was about to slip away unnoticed, a large bouquet of sunflowers appeared right in front of Shen Qingyan. Qingyan, welcome home. With that, he practically shoved the sunflower into Shen Qingyan's hands before wrapping her in a big bear hug. Qingyan, even though you've only been gone a few days, I've missed you so much. Shen Qingyan, feeling the curious stares of the surrounding passengers, ground her teeth and said, Meng Yunchuan, I just want to beat you to death. No sooner had the words been spoken than Shen Qingyan aimed a slap right at Meng Yunchuan's forehead, but it was deftly dodged by the quick-eyed Meng Yunchuan. The two of them roughhoused and bickered all the way to the parking lot. Once they were in the car, Meng Yunchuan dropped his playful grin and asked Shen Qingyan with a serious expression, Qingyan, are you feeling any better? Shen Qingyan was taken aback for a moment before she realized that Meng Yunchuan's whole performance today was just to cheer her up. Admittedly, the method was infuriating, but its effectiveness was undeniable. Shen Qingyan's somewhat gloomy mood actually lifted quite a bit after Meng Yunchuan's little outburst. She couldn't help but turn her head to look at Meng Yunchuan's profile. Meng Yunchuan and Guze are actually two very different types of people. Guze is mature and steady, while Meng Yunchuan is the quintessential sunny, cheerful guy. She had always kept her distance from him. Aside from Guze's influence, she also felt that Meng Yunchuan was too young and his feelings were not yet settled. His affection might have just been a passing fancy, yet the reality delivered a firm message to Shen Qingyan. Although Meng Yunchuan seemed rough around the edges, his heart was more attentive than even a girl's. He could tell Shen Qingyan was upset from just a brief video call. He could figure out what Shen Qingyan liked and disliked just by observing her. Like right now, he pressed a box of strawberry candies into Shen Qingyan's hand. Here, your favorite strawberry flavor. Shen Qingyan glanced at the strawberry candy in her hand, then looked over at Meng Yunchuan, who was focused on driving. Perhaps sensing her gaze, Meng Yunchuan's ears flushed a faint pink. Qingyan, if you keep looking at me like that, I might start thinking you're about to say yes to being my girlfriend. Meng Yunchuan braced himself for the same silent rejection he'd received every other time he'd confessed his feelings to Shen Qingyan, but this time, he clearly heard the girl beside him say, Okay, Meng Yunchuan, let's give it a try. Chapter 14. Meng Yunchuan could hardly believe his ears. He pulled the car over to the side of the road and turned to look at Shen Qingyan. Qingyan, what did you just say? Shen Qingyan fought to suppress the smile tugging at the corners of her mouth, her tone deliberately cool as she said, Never mind if you didn't hear it. Meng Yunchuan took Shen Qingyan's hand, his voice brimming with excitement. No, I heard you clearly. I heard you say you'd give us a try. Qingyan, starting today, you are my girlfriend. You have my word, I will treat you right. I'll never let you regret this decision. Shen Qingyan was swept up in Meng Yunchuan's cheerful mood, and a flicker of anticipation and excitement stirred within her. This could truly be the start of her new life. Yet, she felt there were some things she needed to make clear to Meng Yunchuan beforehand. Yunchuan, there's something I don't want to keep from you. I know I've always told you that I already have feelings for someone, but you never knew who it was. Before Shen Qingyin could finish her sentence, she was abruptly cut off by Meng Yunchuan. Qingyin, your past is your own private matter. You don't need to go out of your way to tell me. I won't mind. All I care about is our future, and I truly believe we will have a happy ending together. To be honest, hearing Meng Yunchuan's words truly touched Shen Qingyin's heart. In her relationship with Jiuze, although Jiuze was the one who confessed his feelings first, Shen Qingyin knew all too well that she was the one who had been chasing after him the whole time. But with Meng Yunchuan, she was the one who was loved more. It was Meng Yunchuan's appearance that made Shen Qingyin realize she, too, was worthy of being loved. In the past, she was far too fixated on love itself. She believed that you could only be with someone if you were in love with them. Having gone through so much, she now understands deeply that compatibility is what truly matters most. Love can grow over time, but if two people are incompatible, even the deepest love will eventually fade away. Being with Meng Yunchuan, Shen Qingyin felt a sense of relaxation she had never known before. This is what a truly compatible relationship should feel like. Over the next month, Meng Yunchuan took Shen Qingyin through the streets and alleys of New York. They sampled many delicacies she had never tasted before. Shen Qingyin even felt as if all her previous years had been wasted, because the days spent with Meng Yunchuan were simply too joyful. Shen Qingyin had almost forgotten Jiuze existed. That is, until Gu's father called. Yinyin, your brother is getting married the day after tomorrow. Are you sure you won't come back for his wedding? Shen Qingyin refused immediately. Uncle Jiu, I've been quite busy lately, so I won't be coming back. Uncle Gu's father seemed troubled upon hearing this. But your brother said he wants to give you that jade pendant in person. He's worried it might get lost in the mail. I think your brother has a point. Do you think you could ask your teacher for some time off? After a moment of silence, Shen Qingyin still refused to return home. I'm sorry, Uncle Jiu, but I'm genuinely tied up right now. My boyfriend's grandmother is celebrating her birthday the day after tomorrow. And I promised I'd go with him. Chapter 15. On the other end of the line, Mr. Jiu was taken aback and quickly asked, Yinyin, you have a boyfriend, is he a foreigner? No, he's Chinese too. When the time is right, I'll definitely bring him home to meet you. After exchanging a few more pleasantries, the call finally ended. Before Shen Qingyin could catch her breath, her phone rang once more. To her surprise, the caller this time was none other than Jiuze himself. After a moment's hesitation, Shen Qingyin finally answered the call. Jiuze was the first to speak. If you want the jade pendant back, you'll have to come get it from me in person. Otherwise, if it gets lost, you'll just have another excuse to make me take responsibility for you. Shen Qingyin had been wondering why Jiuze was holding on to her jade pendant and refusing to return it. After all, it wasn't particularly valuable. Hearing him say that, she finally understood. So he was afraid she'd use it as an excuse to keep clinging to him. Shen Qingyin gave a somewhat exasperated laugh. You're overthinking this. But since you're worried about that, I won't force the issue. Just leave the jade pendant at the old house, and I'll pick it up directly next time I'm back. On the other end of the line, Jiuze fell silent after hearing this. Just as Shen Qingyin was about to hang up, his voice came through again. I'm getting married the day after tomorrow. Aren't you coming? Shen Qingyin paused for a moment before replying. I won't go. That way, no one has to worry about me ruining your wedding. She thought that with things having come to this point, there was probably nothing left to say between them. Yet, to her surprise, Jiuze suddenly lost his temper. Shen Qingyin, I'm your brother. You won't even come to my wedding. What on earth is wrong with you? Shen Qingyin let out a derisive snort. Brother, wasn't it you who told me not to come back anymore? Whatever my intentions are, you just need to know that I sincerely wish you and Cheng Yuanyuan a lifetime of happiness together. With that, she hung up the phone directly. Shen Qingyin was puzzled. Hadn't Jiuze been worried all along that she would disrupt his wedding to Cheng Yuanyuan? So why was he now so insistent on her attending? Chapter 16. Shen Qingyin wasn't lying to Gu's father. She genuinely was very busy right now. During the day at school, she was swamped with all sorts of projects. In the evenings after returning home, she was busy going on dates with Meng Yunchuan. So, she quickly put the matter of Jiuze's wedding out of her mind. What Shen Qingyin didn't know was that, due to her absence, Jiuze threw a massive tantrum at the wedding. It all started when someone brought up Shen Qingyin at the wedding. Shen Qingyan actually didn't show up to cause a scene at young Master Gu's wedding. She didn't even return to the country. Do you think she's really given up? Didn't young Master Gu say she's playing hard to get? She's still waiting with bated breath for him to go and coax her back. A wave of laughter rippled through the room. Someone suddenly spoke up. I think Shen Qingyan is serious this time. Did you see her Weibo post? It looks like she has a new boyfriend. Guze happened to overhear that remark as he came over to propose a toast. Guze immediately slammed his wine glass to the floor and grabbed the man by the collar. Who did you say is dating a boyfriend? The man stammered in reply. Shen Qingyan has a new boyfriend. See for yourself, young Master Gu. As he spoke, the man pulled out his phone and opened Shen Qingyan's Weibo. The first post was a photo of Shen Qingyan and Meng Yunchuan kissing on the beach. Guze stared fixedly at the two people kissing in the photo. He was so lost in thought that he didn't even hear Cheng Yuanyuan calling his name repeatedly from beside him. In the end, it was only after Mr. Gu stepped in that the whole farce was finally brought to a shaky close. Roughly another month passed before Shen Qingyan suddenly received a call from a friend back home. Qingyan, Brother Zeddy's birthday is tomorrow. Are you thinking of coming back for it? After all, you've been by Brother Zeddy's side for his birthday every year. I doubt this year will be any different. It was only when her friend mentioned it that Shen Qingyan suddenly remembered Gu Zeddy's birthday was indeed approaching. In the past, she would always start preparing his birthday gift 2 or 3 months in advance. Yet this year, if not for that phone call, she would have completely forgotten about his birthday. But they should all know that she and Guze are essentially done for good, so why are they calling now? Asking her to come back for Guz's birthday. Oh, I forgot, Before Shen Qingyan could finish her sentence, the sound of shattering glass came from the other end of the line. Then came Guz's voice, gritted through clenched teeth. Shen Qingyan, how could you forget my birthday? Shen Qingyan retorted, puzzled. Why should I remember the birthday of a married woman? Guze was momentarily speechless, but then pressed on, I'm your brother. Shouldn't a sister remember her brother's birthday? This time, Shen Qingyan was truly at a loss for words. Guze, you of all people should know we're only siblings in name, and you know what, I think you're being really hypocritical. You're the one who asked me to come back into your life. I agreed. And now you're throwing a fit about it. You have a wife and children of your own. You should be spending your birthday with them, not with me, your so-called sister with no blood relation. I don't exactly have a taste for being the other woman. Guze fell silent, not uttering another word. Shen Qingyan let out a soft sigh. For the sake of the help he had genuinely given her in the past, she offered one final piece of advice. Guze, since you're already married and have a child, you should focus on building a good life with them. I'll be getting married soon myself, so, unless it's absolutely necessary, I think it's best if we don't contact each other anymore. Chapter 17. With that, before Guze could react, Shen Qingyan hung up the phone. She then proceeded to delete and block all contact information for Guze and every friend associated with him. She wanted nothing more to do with any of them. What's more, she did indeed accept Meng Yunchuan's marriage proposal. Although she and Meng Yunchuan hadn't been together for very long, the level of understanding between them was in no way inferior to that of couples who had dated for years. To use a phrase Meng Yunchuan was fond of repeating, they were a match made in heaven. They were destined to be husband and wife, growing old together. In the time ahead, apart from finishing her research project, Shen Qingyan also had to properly prepare for her wedding with Meng Yunchuan. Consequently, she was as busy as a spinning top every day, wishing there were 48 hours in a day. That evening, when Qingyan returned home, Meng Yunchuan instinctively pulled her into his arms. Qing. There's something I need to talk to you about in advance. Shen Qingyan looked at Meng Yunchuan with a puzzled expression. What is it? You're being so serious about it. A distant cousin of mine is coming to stay with us for a few days, just in time for our wedding. Shen Qingyan nodded with a smile and teased. Is such a small thing really worth being so serious about? You gave me quite a fright. Meng Yunchuan buried his head in the crook of Shen Qingyan's neck and said in a pitiful tone. I just don't want anyone to come and ruin our time alone together. If it weren't for my mom insisting, I'd never have agreed to this. Shen Qingyan patted Meng Yunchuan on the back, speaking softly to soothe him. It's all right, it's only for a few days, it'll be fine. Worst case, when your cousin arrives, just have him stay in the guest room on the first floor, we'll be on the second floor, it won't make much difference." Hearing Shen Qingyan say that, Meng Yunchuan's mood finally improved quite a bit. Shen Qingyan thought it was just an ordinary relative coming to stay for a few days, but she never could have imagined that this ordinary relative would be Jiuze. The moment she saw Jiuze, Shen Qingyan froze on the spot. It had been months since we last met, and he seemed to have grown noticeably haggard, though his attire suggested he had made a careful effort with his appearance. The weariness in his eyes, however, was impossible to conceal. This was especially true after he saw Shen Qingyan. His gaze became clouded with inscrutable emotion. Shen Qingyan felt a bit puzzled. He has a wife and children now, so he should be living a happy life. Why would he have such an expression? But the confusion lasted only a moment. Because Shen Qingyan knew very well that they each had their own partners now, they were no longer a part of each other's lives. So, after just a single glance, she averted her eyes, whether intentional or not. Right in front of Jiuze, Meng Yunchuan pulled Shen Qingyan tightly into his embrace. With a beaming smile, he introduced her to Jiuze. "Cousin, this is my fiancé, Shen Qingyan. Thank you for traveling all this way to attend our wedding." Jiuze's gaze was fixed intently on the hand Meng Yunchuan had placed on Shen Qingyan's waist as he asked through gritted teeth, "Cousin, how did the two of you meet?" Chapter 18. Meng Yunchuan still didn't seem to realize anything was amiss. Continuing with a smile, "Qingyan is my senior from university. Cousin, you have no idea how hard she was to pursue. I chased her for over a year before she finally said yes. Qingyan always said she had feelings for someone else. Luckily for me, that guy turned out to be a real jerk who broke her heart. That's what finally gave me my opening. Cousin, I heard you had a double celebration recently. Not only did you get married, but you also had a child. How come you didn't bring your wife and the little one along to visit?" Jiuze pressed his lips together tightly, his gaze fixed on Shen Qingyan, who remained silent beside him, and offered no further reply to Meng Yunchuan. He didn't speak another word until it was time to eat. To fulfill his duties as host, Meng Yunchuan took Jiuze to a famous Chinese restaurant in New York for dinner. When ordering, he gave the waiter specific instructions. "Hello, for our table. Please ensure none of the dishes contain any chili peppers or any ingredients related to shrimp." The server nodded and took the menu away. Jiuze, as if he had found an outlet for his frustration, said to Meng Yunchuan with a sarcastic tone, "Cousin, it seems you don't know your fiancée very well. Her favorite foods are Sichuan cuisine and shrimp, yet you told the server not to serve any of those." With that, he shot Shen Qingyan a meaningful look. That gaze seemed to mock how little the man Shen Qingyan was to marry cared for her. To everyone's surprise, Meng Yunchuan merely let out a soft chuckle. "Cousin, what nonsense are you talking? Qingyan has a sensitive stomach and can't eat any spicy food. What's more, she's allergic to shrimp. She breaks out in hives the moment she eats any." Jiuze's head snapped up as he looked at Shen Qingyan. "Didn't you eat it all before?" A mocking smile tugged at the corner of Shen Qingyan's lips. "I'm afraid you've misremembered. Cousin, the one who likes these dishes should be your wife." With that, she ignored Jiuze's displeased expression and turned to Meng Yunchuan, saying, "Darling, how do you know all these little preferences of mine so well?" Meng Yunchuan replied as if it were the most natural thing in the world, "You're my fiancé. I carry you in my heart every moment. So of course I know all your likes and dislikes." Meng Yunchuan's words sent a wave of warmth flowing through Shen Qingyan's heart. It's been said that to know if a man truly cares for you, don't just listen to his words, watch his actions. Shen Qingyan felt that Meng Yunchuan was exactly that kind of person, someone who would quietly learn all her preferences and temperament without her even noticing, and then thoughtfully arrange everything for her. She felt profoundly grateful to have met Meng Yunchuan and that she hadn't let her past failed relationship cause her to miss out on him. In stark contrast to Shen Qingyan's delight, Jiuze was utterly miserable inside. He was in such a daze that he had no recollection of how he finished the meal or how he ended up following everyone back to Meng Yunchuan's place. At that moment, only one thought consumed him. He had been so convinced he understood Shen Qingyan. Yet reality had just delivered a stinging slap to his face. He had taken it for granted that Shen Qingyan would never leave him, but now it seemed she was genuinely going to marry another man. Shin Qingyan used to be so deeply in love with him. For his sake, she would brave a downpour in the dead of night to pick him up from a bar when he was drunk, fearing for his safety. She could even give away the heirlooms her parents left her without a second thought. Guze still remembered how, before Shin Qingyan went abroad, she had confessed her feelings to him in person. She said, "Brother Ze, I like you, would you be with me?" Bathed in moonlight, she looked so beautiful that Guze was almost lost in the moment, ready to say yes. But a text message from his father jolted him back to his senses. Officially, Shin Qingyan was considered her younger sister. Although they weren't related by blood, that's how everyone saw it. He wasn't sure if he had the courage to face the gossip and rumors, yet, he couldn't bring himself to reject someone so wonderful to her face, so he said, "I'll be with you when you come back." That line was just something he said to brush her off. The day after Shin Qingyan went abroad, Guze went straight to Cheng Yuanyuan. In the beginning, Guze and Cheng Yuanyuan were just putting on an act, fooling around, but later, in a drunken stupor, he mistook Cheng Yuanyuan for Shin Qingyan and ended up sleeping with her. Later on, when Cheng Yuanyuan became pregnant, the situation spiraled completely out of control. Watching Shin Qingyan and Meng Yunchuan being so intimate, Guze felt a sharp pang in his heart. So intense it was hard to breathe. Had he really been wrong from the very beginning? Chapter 19. In the evening, Shin Qingyan and Meng Yunchuan were discussing the details of the wedding in the living room. Guze, who had been listening nearby for a while, grew increasingly sullen. After saying he wanted to turn in early, he retreated to his room. This finally gave Shin Qingyan the chance to ask Meng Yunchuan, "How on earth is Guze your cousin?" Meng Yunchuan shrugged, sounding rather helpless as he said, "Well, not exactly a cousin, it's just that my mom told me to call him that. Our families were supposedly connected by marriage generations ago, but my family emigrated abroad long ago. We haven't really kept in touch with the Gu family all these years. I have no idea why he suddenly reached out to my parents." Meng Yunchuan didn't understand, but Shin Qingyan had a good idea of Guze's intentions. After much hesitation, Shin Qingyan finally spoke up, "Yunchuan, about Guze and me," but Meng Yunchuan cut her off before she could finish. "Qingyan, I know what you're about to say, I've known for a while," he said with a mischievous grin. "Otherwise, why do you think I agreed to let him stay with us? I wanted him to see with his own eyes that you and I are together now. He's missed his chance. You know what they say, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. I'll only feel at ease with the enemy right under my nose. Since he dared to treat you that way, I'll make sure he lives to regret it. Qingyan, you are the most precious treasure in my heart. I won't allow anyone to mistreat you." Seeing Meng Yunchuan's earnest expression, Shin Qingyan felt a slight warmth in her eyes. Leaning against Meng Yunchuan's shoulder, she whispered softly, "So you're not worried I might rekindle something with him?" "Not at all, I know my Qingyan, once you've made a decision, you don't look back. Besides, with a gem like me right here, how could you possibly still be interested in a man like that?" Meng Yunchuan's words warmed Shin Qingyan's heart. At that moment, Shin Qingyan knew she had found her happiness. The next day, seizing the opportunity while Meng Yunchuan was out on business, Guze went straight to knock on Shin Qingyan's door. Seeing Guze's bloodshot eyes, Shin Qingyan was taken aback, but she didn't ask about it. Instead, she inquired with an expressionless face, "What did you want to see me about?" Guze didn't speak, just stared fixedly at Shin Qingyan. It wasn't until Shin Qingyan grew impatient and moved to close the door that he finally spoke. "I surrender. Are you satisfied now?" Shin Qingyan was momentarily at a loss, unable to grasp what Guze meant by his words. Guze let out a derisive snort. "Shin Qingyan, you didn't come to my wedding, you didn't come to my birthday, and you even went out of your way to post those misleading Weibo posts. It's all just to get back at me, isn't it? You know I wouldn't just stand by and watch you treat marriage like a game, so you deliberately found someone to marry you, just to force me to back down, right? I have to admit, after being abroad for over a year, you've gotten a lot smarter, you even know how to play hard to get. Alright, I've backed down. Shouldn't you come back with me now?" Upon hearing Guze's words, Shin Qingyan couldn't help but roll her eyes dramatically. It's only been a few months, but Guze has become so strange and jumpy. "Guze, don't flatter yourself. My love for Yoon Chuan is real, and our marriage is real, whether you come or not. He and I are destined to be married. Also, until today, I had no idea you were Yoon Chuan's cousin, but even if I knew, it wouldn't change a thing. I won't let your callousness make me doubt Yoon Chuan's sincerity. Guz's face instantly darkened. He seemed unable to believe that Shin Qingyin would ever speak to him like this. He took a step forward, grabbing Shin Qingyin's arm, and growled. Shin Qingyin, wasn't I the one you loved? Didn't you swear you'd never change your heart? How much time has even passed, and you've already fallen for another man? Shin Qingyin forcefully broke free from Guz's grip, her tone turning icy and laced with fury. That's right, I did say that, but back then, I hadn't yet seen your true colors. Now I know everything. I know that from the very beginning, you've only ever treated me like a dog by your side, so what makes you think I, Shin Qingyin, would continue to like you without a shred of dignity? Is that really how low you think I am? Guze opened his mouth to explain, but found he had no explanation to give. Chapter 20. Shin Qingyin took several deep breaths, trying hard to calm her emotions. When she spoke again, her tone was much steadier, though no less cold and detached. Guze, I'm giving your own words back to you. What's past is past. I don't love you anymore. The person I love now is Yoon Chuan. And the person I want to marry is also Yoon Chuan. If you're willing to bless me as a brother, I would appreciate it. If you can't do that, then we can just be strangers from now on. By the way, if you brought the jade pendant with you, just give it back to me now. It's best if we don't stay in touch from now on. Guze could tell Shin Qingyin was dead serious. His expression froze on the spot. After a long pause, he finally fished the pendant out of his pocket. Shin Qingyin took the pendant and said flatly, "Thank you." With that, she closed the door. The instant the door clicked shut, she distinctly heard Guze say, "Shin Qingyin, you're just fooling yourself. I don't believe for a second that you've stopped liking me." Shin Qingyin didn't give Guze's words a second thought. After a quiet, uneventful weekend, she returned to school to continue her research project. However, the normally hushed research building had suddenly become a hive of noise and activity. Shin Qingyin, who had plunged straight into her lab work, didn't notice it at first. She only broke off from her experiment with irritation when a knock came at the lab door. "Senior, there's someone here to see you downstairs." The junior student relaying the message at the door looked at Shin Qingyin with undisguised envy. Shin Qingyin was completely baffled by that look. Following her junior to the foot of the lab building, she finally saw the open space in front of the main entrance. Someone had arranged red roses into the shape of a heart. Guze, dressed in a pristine white suit and holding a large bouquet of roses, gazed with deep affection at Shin Qingyin as she walked towards him. As if oblivious to the displeasure on Shin Qingyin's face, Guze continued speaking on his own. "Qingyin, before you went abroad, you told me that if I accepted your confession, I should come find you wearing a white suit and carrying roses. It's all clear to me now. The person I've always loved is you. I know I've made a lot of mistakes over the past year, but I promise you, I'll find a way to make it up to you and treat you right." Shin Qingyin looked at Guze, who was making a complete fool of himself, with a faint, sardonic smile and said bluntly, "So, you want me to be your mistress, to be the other woman you cheat with?" The moment she spoke, the junior students who had been egging things on fell completely silent. They all looked at Guze with utter contempt. Guze paused briefly, hesitating for a few seconds before speaking again. "If you just agree to be with me, I'll return to the country immediately and divorce Cheng Yuanyuan." Chapter 21. Things between me and Cheng Yuanyuan weren't what you think from the start, and I know that, compared to me as a person, she's actually more interested in my money. If I give her enough money, she'll definitely agree to divorce me. Shin Qingyin's face still betrayed no emotion as she continued to ask in return, "So what? What makes you think I'd abandon a wonderful fiancé like Yoon Chuan for a divorced man with a kid like you?" Guze was deeply stung by Shin Qingyin's words. His face darkened instantly, and his tone lost all its previous gentleness. "Shin Qingyin, when did you become so sharp-tongued? I've already agreed to keep the promise I made to you. Why won't you forgive me?" Hearing Guze's words, Shin Qingyin was not only shocked, but found it utterly ridiculous. Just how full of himself does he have to have the nerve to say that? Or does he think this is a dumpster, ready to take out the trash anytime? Thinking this, Shen Qingyan let out a scornful laugh. Guze. Don't you see how ridiculous you are right now? I've made myself perfectly clear. Yun Chuan and I are truly in love, and we're getting married soon. I never liked roses in the first place. And I don't have feelings for you anymore. Guze's face grew paler by the second, but he still refused to give up. Qingyan, we shared a life for 10 years. You know how good I was to you before. Are you really going to be this cruel to me just because I strayed once? Yes, I've made mistakes. But isn't erring a part of human nature? Can you honestly guarantee that Meng Yunchuan will never make the same mistakes I did? Just as Shen Qingyan was about to retort, Meng Yunchuan's voice came from behind her. If you hadn't genuinely helped Qingyan in the past, do you think you'd even have the chance to stand here making a spectacle of yourself? I can't promise I'll never make a mistake in my life, but I will never compromise on matters of principle, and I will never do anything to let Qingyan down. Guze, the moment you chose to betray Qingyan, you forfeited any chance of being with her. After saying this, Meng Yunchuan walked directly over to Shen Qingyan's side. He placed the sunflower in his hand into Shen Qingyan's arms and said gently, "Darling, I'm here to take you home." Shen Qingyan cast one last look at the man she had loved for 10 years, then resolutely placed her hand in Meng Yunchuan's. "All right, let's go home." Shen Qingyan and Meng Yunchuan's wedding was a grand and lavish affair. Mr. Jiyu flew all the way to New York to attend the wedding. When he saw Shen Qingyan and Meng Yunchuan locked in an embrace, his weary eyes reddened involuntarily. The applause from the audience was long and unceasing. Looking out at the sea of well-wishing eyes in the audience, Shen Qingyan knew she was truly blessed. After their wedding, Shen Qingyan and Meng Yunchuan settled down in New York. As for Guze, he was essentially forced back to China by his father and never appeared before Shen Qingyan again. The day Shen Qingyan discovered she was pregnant was the same day news of Guze's divorce broke. His divorce from Cheng Yuanyuan was, by all accounts, an amicable one. However, upon her departure, Cheng Yuanyuan walked away with half of the assets held in Guze's name. Just as Guze himself had said, Cheng Yuanyuan was only ever interested in his money from the very beginning. As for their daughter, she was left behind at the Jiyu family's ancestral home to be raised by Guze's father. 9 months later, Shen Qingyan and Meng Yunchuan also welcomed their own daughter. They named their daughter Meng Xingxing. They wished for their daughter to shine as brightly as the stars, forever. On the day of Xingxing's 1-month celebration, Shen Qingyan received a package from back home. Upon opening it, she found an exquisite gold locket and a handwritten letter inside. Shen Qingyan put the locket away but left the letter unopened. Meng Yunchuan embraced Shen Qingyan from behind and whispered, "Why don't you open it and have a look?" Shen Qingyan shook her head and said with a smile, "There's no need. The most important people are already right here with me. Nothing else matters. All that matters is she knows she's happy now."